If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law with Gary C. Johnson.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Simply the Law. I'm Keith Casebolt, and it is an honor to be here with my dear friend, Gary C. Johnson.
It is so wonderful to be here. Hi, guys and gals. How you doing? Huh? Another week. Nobody quarreling, right? No fighting. Every one of you has been impeccable with the word. Do you notice all the time how these people on TV are getting in trouble all the time because of stuff they say? None of you do that, though. You're real careful.
My goodness. My friend, I just saw it where it was horrible that a person lost their job because they said something horrible. And the first thing that popped out at me is Gary tells us time and time again, be impeccable with the word.
Be careful. Don't open that mouth unless you're going to say something that may help someone rather than hurt them. And make absolutely certain when you open the old mouth, there's no negativity that comes out. How many of you broke that rule last week, huh? Huh?
How can you not break?
Isn't life wonderful? Just living life. The reverence of life, as this book I'm going to read you about in a minute says. I was always picking up and reading. And I was reading this article about the survey they did in all the countries in Europe. And they were trying to see which country had the most satisfaction with their status in life, which country. Well, Finland won. 8.1 out of a scale of 0 to 10 was what the residents of Finland responded as their satisfaction of life. That is amazing. I wonder what it would be in America. I wonder what it would be for you folks. What is your satisfaction with your life right now? If you were going to rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you put it? What? 1s and 2s and 3s? My goodness.
Now I've got to
There was a few 8, 9s, and 10s, but I believe we had a few more 1s and 2s and 3s, right?
But let me ask you a question, my friend. I was surprised that it was Finland. First of all, I would think that we have it a lot better here than the people of Finland do. So is it based upon the perception and the fact that they are happier, or is it really based upon the economics and the reality?
It's based upon, evidently, even though I didn't do attitude. I think they were grateful for what they had. They were grateful to be alive, grateful to have their families. Therefore, they chose to be satisfied with their life. Here, we want more. We look around and we say, somebody else has got something and we don't have it. Any of you ever done that? Therefore, when you do those things, you're lowering that scale on satisfaction of life. And then I run into this little article on change. If you were into 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, anything under a 5 on the scale of 1 to 10 on satisfaction of life, when I just asked you about that, I want you to listen up to some of the things I'm going to talk to you about, because we've got to change that. I mean, this is not acceptable. This has to change, because the good Lord never put you on earth and allowed you to be born in America for you to have a scale of 1, 2, 3, or 4 on satisfaction of your life. So, those of you that are in that category, we're going to talk a little bit about maybe what do we need to change. Well, this little article here has got some things that you need to look at if you're going to make a change. And I'm going to read you what the 7 steps to change are. The first one is, oh no, stop making excuses. Excuses hold you back, and they are almost always the only thing between you and your goal. Identify the excuses you make and figure out a way to prevent yourself from making those excuses. Spending too much time on social media, download a blocking application, watching too much television, work where you do not have access to a TV, can't find the motivation to go to a gym or go for a run. Force yourself to go and promise yourself you can work as hard as you want once you arrive. Simple, huh? Stop making excuses. Let's talk a little bit about excuses. What are some of the excuses we make, Keith?
I don't have time. If I only had time. The other excuse is it probably won't work. The other excuse is those are things for other people. I don't deserve it. The other excuses is if I had somebody to help me.
Or I could have if I just wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
I could have if I had tried. If I'd have really worked at it, I would have been much farther ahead, but I chose not to. Excuses. There's 1,000 excuses that your little chatterbox will give you that you will latch on to keep from change. Now, we're going to change, my friends. The 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s, you better be listening because this is not acceptable. I'm going to reach at least one of you tonight. There's going to be one of you that's going to listen up and you're going to make a change.
You know, Gary, I want to say something to our friends. The other day, those excuses come out of us without us even knowing it. I was talking to you about something and I said, but you know, it's probably too late in life now. I'm 56. And you said, did you hear what you just said? The excuse you just made. And you told me about the great Colonel Sanders with Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was
65?
He was 65 years old when he created it. And I felt so bad that I had used one of those excuses and I had said that without even realizing what I was doing.
So, we're not going to have excuses. I'm going to read you the next one, okay? You ready for it? You have to set a goal. It's tempting to set big goals, but to start making a sustainable process, it's better with a manageable goal. Baby steps. You want to change jobs? Apply to 5 jobs and 5 introductory emails a week and build from there. Want to lose weight? Go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Shoot for a pound or even a half a pound a week. It's that big. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just get the change going. Set you a goal. This is my goal. I'm going to reach this goal. But I'm not going to make a big goal that I can't ever achieve, because if I do, I will fail and then I'll be worse off than I was when I started. Don't do it. Set a goal. The next one. Create a routine. A routine consists entirely of discipline. Disciplined people carve out time to get work done or exercise, whatever their goal may be, wherever they are. You have to have discipline and you have to create a routine if you're going to make meaningful change. Here's another one. Hold yourself accountable. Tell somebody what you're doing. Therefore, you have to live up to it. You've now given yourself a reputation to live up to. If you hadn't told anybody, then you wouldn't have to hold yourself accountable, right?
Now, is that one of those safety nets that we do? We don't go out and tell people our goals because that way, if it doesn't work,
we don't have to be accountable.
We don't have to own up to it. But you're saying, speak it out loud, write it down, go ahead and say, these are the things I want to accomplish, and then have somebody check up on you and see if you're doing them.
And if you've got a goal and you want to change in your life, telling people that you are serious about your goals helps you hold you accountable. And without accountability, nothing happens. What's the next one? You need to track your progress. If you're planning on losing a half a pound or a pound a week or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish during a set time, Write it down, track it, keep a record of it. Then you can look back and say, I did it, I did it, I did it. Okay?
We did that back in the winter. I came in and told Gary, I said, I want to lose like 30 or 40 pounds. And you did exactly that. You looked at me and said, let's start with 1. and when you get 1 pound off, tell me about it, and then we'll start working on 2. But that's the mistake we make by making unrealistic goals and talking ourselves into defeat as opposed to setting goals we can accomplish.
And it worked, didn't it? So tell them, how many pounds have you lost?
20 pounds. I haven't got there, but the end of the year is not up, but at least I've got 20.
Yeah, all because you started 1 pound at a time.
1 pound at a time.
Yeah. Now, what's our next one? And you folks may not think much about this one, but it's true. Failure is integral to success. Life happens. There are busy weeks at work, unforeseen events that will prevent you from completing your routine, disasters, your birthday, and so forth. It does not matter that you fail 1 week, or for 1 month. What matters is that you get back on track every single time. Learning to shake off failure and start afresh is the only way you will accomplish your goals. Everyone fails. It cannot be a reason to keep going.
Isn't that amazing that people can get into a routine and they get up and they go to the gym every morning? They miss 1 day and they
say, what difference does it make?
Throw it all out the window instead of saying, I'll go back tomorrow.
Making excuses.
Right? Whether it's business, whether it's happiness, whether it's breaking the rules that you've got, the 4 agreements.
Now, again, the 1, 2, 3, and 4s that held your hand up on life satisfaction. The last one on this is get you some exercise. According to the Center for Disease Control, it's one of the most important things you can do for your life and your health. It will give you, believe it or not, getting tired at exercise will give you the energy you need to go on and do other things. So get some exercise. 7 little simple things that you can do to start making a change in your life so that we're going to move that scale up on that satisfaction scale. We're going to move it up to a 6, 7, or 8 within 6 months. What do you think, guys? Think you can do it?
Let's talk a second, because I have a funny feeling. You and I did a radio program the other day, and you told me about an email that you got from a lady that was talking about happiness and how that you were wrong and there was no happiness, and the email was quite sad. And I felt so sorry for this individual because there was no hope of change. And I'm kind of figuring that's why you're bringing out these steps to tell people, even that lady, that if you want to change, you can do something about it.
It may have inspired, to a certain extent, this program, because what I'm saying to you, if you're watching, there is hope. You have a life. There is a chance for you to have some happiness. You have to seek it out. You have to have the attitude to have that. And you have to look inside yourself and say, what choices have I made in life that's brought me to this point? And how can I make some simple changes in my life? And how can I stop being bitter? And once you make the attitude change, the rest of it will take care of itself. Now, am I saying it's going to be easy? Nothing in this life is easy if it's worth having. Happiness is not easy, but it's well worth having. You have to work at it. You are alive. You can see, you can breathe, you can walk out, you can appreciate the sunset, you can appreciate the rising of the sun, you can appreciate the blue sky. You can see all of these wondrous things out there and be aware of them. Now, a tree can't do that and a rock can't do that. Can you imagine what a tree and a rock would give just to be able to do that? Yet we have all of these things that we are given and we take them for granted. And we shouldn't. And we look for reasons to say we should be way down on that satisfaction scale when we need to be looking for reasons on why we should be way up on that satisfaction scale. And if you're down here low on that satisfaction scale, work at getting up here on the side. Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
What a great start to the program. I don't know what the change may be in your life that you want to do, but Gary has given us 7 steps and a way to get started. And hopefully we're all going to do that. Stay with us. We'll be back with Simply the Law and Gary C. Johnson right after this.
People are asking, what is judo law? Judo is a martial art that uses the opponent's strength to defeat them by not opposing it directly. Gary C. Johnson created a method of practicing law based upon that principle. It worked so well, he named it judo law. To see the results, go to GaryCJohnson.com. To have Gary and his team of judo lawyers go to work for you, dial pound HURT. This is an advertisement.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. When you started this program, you said if just one person gets this, I want to give you some good news. You did a program on grief a couple of weeks ago, and as I'm going through the drive-thru at the bank, the lady comes on the monitor and says, "Tell Gary, you got the one." I needed those words of encouragement on grief, and it was important to me. And I pulled out and I said, I was in the car going, "Yay, Gary was right. There was one."
We just need one. Right, Bridget? We got our one.
And it mattered.
That's right. It matters because how many times has Keith and I said on this show, if we can get just one of you to feel a little better, to have a little better chance at happiness, to become part of life, then we have succeeded in our program. We're not going to try to do it for everybody. We can't. But if we get one, we'll take it. There's a book here when I was thinking about this program and what I was going to talk about. It's The Art of Living by Wilferd Peterson. We've read from this book in the past before, but I was actually skimming through it because it's amazing how quick you forget things, at least at my age, huh?
I'm with you.
And I ran into this section, this chapter, on reverence for life. And that's what I want to read to you. I want to read this to you, what he has to say. Albert Schweitzer, principal legacy to mankind consists of 3 words: sealed by a life that was a triumph example of their power. At sunset one evening while journeying up the Ogowe River in Africa, Schweitzer's mind lighted it up with a phrase which brought his whole philosophy of life into sharp focus: reverence for life. As a jungle doctor, Schweitzer founded a hospital in Africa which grew from a converted chicken coop into a world-famous institution. Here, for half a century, Schweitzer practiced his philosophy of reverence for life. He was called a genius of compassion. We are like waves that do not move individually but rise and fall in rhythm, wrote the great man. To share, to rise and fall in rhythm with life around us is a spiritual necessity. The phrase reverence for life is simple and direct. It was Schweitzer's fervent hope that though he might be forgotten, those words would live. He wanted others to understand them and to use them. We can make 3 dynamic words a part of our lives and practice the art of reverence of life in these ways. By becoming aware that God is the source of all life and that we are with life. The good man, said Schweitzer, is a friend of all living things. By having reverence for ourselves and for our own God-given talents and abilities and dedicating them to helping others. By seeking and finding a work through which we can best contribute to the lives of others. Schweitzer often quoted the master's secret: "He who loses his life shall find it." In other words, what he's saying here is not what you can do for you, but what you can do for others. Be always reaching out to life, to help life to grow, to express itself and to fulfill its highest destiny. By striving to live affirmatively, by looking for the good in life and glorifying it. Up there high on that scale, right, folks? By having a deep sense of obligation for the precious gift of life, by giving of ourselves that we may repay life, at least in some small measure, for the infinite treasures it pours at our feet, by coming to know that reverence of life is the very heart of our relations with our fellow men, that we should reverence each other, recognize that we are part of each other, and live together in a spirit of love, by realizing that when we war on life, we war on ourselves, and that reverence of life is the only pathway to the kingdom of peace and brotherhood. Now, isn't that powerful?
Well, it's powerful, and now I get it. It takes me a while to catch on. So you set us up at the beginning by saying, where do you rank on the scale in happiness? Are you a 1, 3, 5, 8? I am secretly sitting over here going, 5, 6. Now you have read the reverence of life, and I am embarrassed to say anything other than a 10.
Or at least an 8 or a 9, right?
Well, because what you're saying is if we have a reverence for life, we have an appreciation no matter what's going on. We should be an 8, 9, or 10 just out of respect for the fact we are here.
Alive.
Yes, I get it.
Let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Oh my goodness, it is so fun to learn. And when Gary puts things in the terminology that I can understand, it's like the light goes on, and hopefully I'm getting it. Stay with us. We'll be back with Gary C. Johnson and Simply the Law right after this.
Eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, and southwest Virginia. It can be a tough territory to reach when it comes to marketing. We can help. We can also help you find your identification. And we have plenty of services to do it and a lot of experience behind us, over 37 years. In fact, we've either booked or sold nearly $70 million in advertising in this region. You need a new voice, a new idea, a new concept? Casebold Marketing. We're ready to go to work for you today. Our motto is nothing happens until you make it happen. So let's get started today.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. My friend, that segment probably is going to rank as one of my favorite in the 20 years of doing the programs with you, because that said it all.
Now we're going to talk about the change. We talked about change, we talked about the reverence for life, and how about the art of revolution? What's he have to say about that? I think you folks will like this, and I'm going to read it to you quickly. Revolution is the process of drastic change. Sometimes there is a need of personal revolution within ourselves. In a personal revolution, you are your own enemy, and self-conquest is your goal. A personal revolution is a revolt against wrong, despondent, hopeless thinking. It is a bold offensive to change habits, thought patterns, actions, and establish a new way of life. It is an about face. It is turning a corner, taking a new road, moving in a new direction. It is breaking the bonds of slavery to the past so that you may walk in freedom. It is implanting creative and constructive thoughts in your mind to destroy the weeds of negative thinking. It is sweeping away the decaying foundations of your life that stronger and more enduring ones may be laid for you to build upon. It is smashing destructive idols and images and gaining a new vision of the person you would become. It is shaking yourself awake, coming alive, reestablishing your hopes and dreams. It is waging a battle against complacency, self-satisfaction, and inertia. It is stopping drift. It is grabbing the oars and rowing with a purpose in life. It is overcoming the failure complex by beginning to act as though you cannot fail. It is a declaration of independence from all that would drag you down, and it is reaching out for all that will lift you up. It is overthrowing fear and putting faith on the throne.
You know, I can almost hear some of our friends right now saying, I can, I will, I shall.
That's right.
Because that's what it is saying. When you were talking about the accountability, you are basically saying we should be empowered to do it. And why not?
And it doesn't have to be any big deal. That's what everybody gets all hung up in. I'm going to do a life change, and I'm going to do it tomorrow, and no. Do little bitty things until that thing you plant right here that you're going to be becomes real. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may take 5 years. But at least you're working toward a goal of being happy and have some hope and all of those things that matter for being alive.
Gary, we've got about 2 minutes left. And
let's take a break then and we'll come right back.
yeah, I want to end it with the final thought. Stay with us. We'll close out the program when we come back with Gary C. Johnson.
Who really knows which lawyer you should choose? Other lawyers know. They've invited Gary C. Johnson to teach his method of judo law in Denver, Atlanta, New Orleans, and across the nation. Gary used judo law to set the record for the largest personal injury verdict in the history of Kentucky. Now, which lawyer should you choose? The choice is clear. Gary C. Johnson. Dial pound HURT. This is an advertisement.
Welcome back into Simply the Law. Every time I start thinking I'm learning, I step into it again. But I'm getting there. I'm starting over.
We're getting there.
If anything, let's take the takeaway from this. We opened up the program with change is possible. You have to decide to do it. You gave us 7 simple steps to do it. And then you talked about the scale of happiness and why it should start with a reverence for life.
A reverence for life. We've got to move that scale up from those of you that said 1, 2s, and 3s, and 4s. We've got to move that scale up. Right? And I'm hoping that at least one of you, that's all I want is one, okay, will listen to what I've said and set out and set yourself some goals. In fact, I'm going to read those 7 things to you right quick. I've got time. I'm going to do it. Stop making excuses.
Important.
Set goals. Create a routine.
This one's
Learn how to move one paper. Hold yourself accountable.
That's the tough one.
Track your progress. Failure is integral to success. Exercise. Period.
7 simple steps. And I want to say to my friends, the part about the failure, I have been studying for 20 years. And if you'll just give me 20 more years, I'm going to get this right. So don't worry about the failure. My friend, great program.
Sure.
On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, we truly thank you so much for taking this time to tune in. And as always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this very same time.
Thank you for watching Simply the Law, a program created by Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.